This is the Audi A3 and today we're here to review it. We have got this car courtesy of Audi Chandigarh, which is the Audi dealership here in the Chandigarh area. They have an awesome inventory of all the latest Audi cars. You name it, they have it. And now let's get started, but first a little overview. Up until 2014, the entry-level A-series model from Audi was the A4 in India, and there was no doubt that the A4 had the best-selling numbers in its segment. And seeing the success that the A4 had, well, the company then revealed the A3 in India as well, and this is now the entry-level A series. The Audi A3 has a very sporty character, and the main reason for that is what lies under the hood. Mechanically, it has the same 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine, which is prevalent in the previous A3 models as well. The engine is capable of 139 horsepower and a maximum torque of 320 Newton meters. The A3 is available in a front-wheel drive setup with a 6-speed automatic gearbox. Alright, we'll start with the styling of the Audi A3 from the front end and move our way to the back. Alright, in the front of the Audi A3 we can see that we have the traditional Audi grille, which has that hexagonal design, and the great thing about this grille is that we have this chrome surrounding which gives this grille a very nice look, and we have an chrome Audi logo front and clear of the center of the car, signifying that you are driving an Audi car. But it is the headlamps of this car which gives this car its character and the aggressiveness, because the headlamps have this mean structure which looks very nice. And looking inside the headlamp, we can see that we have this straight line of LED DRLs, and inside we have a projector headlamp setup which is pretty standard in a high-end car like the Audi A3. And now coming towards the side of the Audi A3, we can see that the side reveals 16-inch 5-spoke alloy wheels which have a very simple design, yet it looks very elegant. And the second thing I would like to mention is that they have used chrome around the window sills of this car, which gives this car a very good look from the side as well. It looks good with the red color, but in my personal opinion it would look better in a black or a grey shade, and that is pretty much what the side has to show. But everything considered, it is still the rear of the car which puts the icing on the cake, and I say that because of the rear diffuser in this car. It is very aggressive. This car also has a front splitter, but it is body color, due to which you can't really differentiate it. But if you look at the rear diffuser in this car, it is black with beautiful chrome inserts which looks very nice and gives this car a very aggressive rear end. Even if we talk about the tail lamps in this car, they are beautifully designed LED tail lamps which go really nicely with the car. Alright, so moving inside the Audi A3, I want to first talk about this car's interior. The interior is beautifully designed and it has an amazing architecture. Everything in this car is of so high quality. If I talk about the steering wheel has this beautiful leather finish, and it has black stitching all around it which looks very nice. Every single button in this car has a very satisfying click to it. Even the seats in this car are leather, and they have this cloth in between which provides much more comfort, and the cloth also has this very good design on it which looks very nice. And so I can say one thing, that if you sit inside this car, you'll have no doubt that this really is a premium luxury car. And one thing is for sure, the Audi A3 has set the bar for Audi very high, considering that this is an entry-level one. And so going through the exterior and the interior of the Audi A3, I think it's an amazing car considering the styling of this car. But if I had to give a rating out of 5, I think I'd give it a 4, and I'll deduct that 1 mark because of the front splitter, as I told you. Given that this is a sporty car, I think they should have given a little more prominent and aggressive front end. But anyways, we'll now move on to the features of this car. Starting with the features, I'd first like to start with the driver's side seat over here, and specifically talking the center gauge display. So right now the car is turned off and I'll put the car into accessory power, but just have a look at the gauge over there. The needle went from off to ready, signifying that the car is now ready to be turned on. In most other cars, there's actually a 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the RPM, but Audi thought, no, we should go for something a little more quirky. And so they went from off to ready. But anyways, moving on to the center gauge display in this car, we have our odometer right now, that is 20 kilometers, and then we have our average speed in the car, that is 3 kilometers per hour, as this is a showroom car and it's not driven that much. And then we have our average fuel economy of the car, which is saying 2.9 kmpl, which is not true obviously, as this is a showroom car. It just stays in one position, that's why it's saying so low. Otherwise this car has much more fuel economy than this. And then we have our idle time of the car, which is 7 hours and 41 minutes for this car. And then we have our real time fuel economy, which is showing me some dashes because the car is right now not turned on. And then we have our first odometer in this car, which is 0 kilometers. Then we have the range of the car, and then last but not the least, today's date. But that's not all the center gauge display shows. We can use these buttons over here to change the information on the display right now. Over here it will show me the alerts of the car, that is refueling the car right now, and then it is showing me that the door is open, and that to the passenger side one. And then we have our playback, which is for the audio in this car. Like right now it is on external audio mode, but then if I press this button over here, I can change that to my favorites, AM or FM. And then over here we have our telephone, which would show me the information regarding my telephone if my mobile phone were connected to this car using the Bluetooth. And then going once again back to this display, if I press this button over here, and then it gives me a lot more functions like my efficiency program, which will just focus on the fuel economy of the car over here. And then we have our digital speedometer, and like the name suggests, it gives me the speed of the car in digital format. And then once again, if I press this, it gives me reduced display, which means if I press this, everything will turn black so that the display is as decluttered as possible. And so that was the center gauge display in this car. And now we'll talk about the infotainment display. Yes, this car has an infotainment display obviously, but like any other Audi, it is hidden. I don't know why Audi has this thing for hiding the displays in their car, but anyways, it gives us content to tell you guys, so that is fantastic, right? Alright, so talking about the infotainment display in this car, we have car, sound, radio, media, telephone and settings, which is pretty standard in any Audi car. But the thing I like is that they have changed the interface a little bit. It becomes much more easier to use and it looks better as well. I won't be going into the depth of this infotainment display, as I've already done that in my Audi Q3 review. If you want to check that out, there will be a link in the description below, or an information card on your displays right now. So click on that if you want more detailed review of this infotainment display. But anyways, I would like to point out some differences. Like for example, if I open car settings in the Audi Q3, you had these borders which had some settings written over here. In this car you don't have that. Instead you have these borders on the side over here. And in the center console stack you don't have those 4 buttons. Instead you only have 2 buttons, that is one over here, one over here. So whenever there is a setting on this side, you can press this button to open it, and whenever there is a setting on this side, you just have to press this button to open it. And similarly, if I open this setting, you can see that we have our vehicle assist, driver assist, AC and service checks like there were in the Audi Q3. And so the infotainment displays of Audi cars have never really changed that much. They've stayed the same, just a little bit of software enhancements which make the display look nice a little bit. And that was the infotainment display in this car. But one thing again, like the Audi Q3, in this car as well, you also have individual buttons for the car settings, telephone settings, navigation, all of that in the center console stack. You don't have to fiddle around with the infotainment display every time you want to open the car settings or something in your car, which may distract you while driving. Next up, I want to talk about the AC controls in this car. They have a 2-zone climate control system, which is nice, which means that the passenger can set his own temperature according to his liking, and me myself being the driver, I can set my temperature according to me as my likings. And now for one thing that we all love to have in our cars, and that is a sunroof. This car also has it, and I will give you a preview right now. And so that was the sunroof in this car. But if you noticed one thing, that when the sunroof was open, the sun blind was still there. It didn't go out of the way. No, nothing is broken in this car. This is actually a feature of Audi's. And that is that when you open the sunroof, the sun blind still stays there in case you want just the ventilation and not the sun. In case you want the sun as well as the ventilation, then is the time you open the sunroof and the sun blind. And yet again, one of my favorite features is to open all the windows using just the key fob and similarly closing them with just the key fob. Now in the rear seats of the Audi A3, I want to talk about the features over here. First of all, we have rear AC vents for this car as well, which is pretty standard. But I do have this one little question, like if you know the answer to it, please tell me in the comments down below. This car has 2-zone climate controls, right? But when there are people sitting in the back seats and they turn on the AC vent back here, whose climate control is controlling it, driver side or the passenger side? This is one question that keeps bugging me, so if you know the answer to it, please tell me in the comments down below. Anyways, moving forward, the next thing that I want to talk about is actually a very good feature, and that has to do with your safety. Just imagine that you're driving around your Audi A3 and God forbids your tire is punctured at night. Well, that might get dangerous when you're changing your tire because at night people might not see you. But Audi, well, they've got you covered, because over here under the center seat you have this reflector jacket. It's kind of hard to get out, but once it gets out you can see that Audi has given you a reflector jacket to put on while you're changing your tire or fixing anything in this car at night time. I mean, this is one feature that I've never seen in any other car. Like, this just goes to show two things. That is, one, Audi never forgets about its customers. It thinks so much for them. Second, they don't cheap out. Even in an entry-level sedan like the Audi A3, they've given us this feature. So that is pretty cool. And now the thing that I'm going to be talking about isn't actually a feature, but it's actually once again about how much Audi thinks of its customers and a way of saying thank you to their customers. So like, this is one box that you get with your Audi car, which says Audi genuine accessories and all of that stuff in different languages. Once you open it, it reveals a pamphlet as a thank you gesture in English, and then one other one in Germany, as this is a German car. And then once you open this box over here, this is just a show. We'll go over the contents one by one. First of all, you have this thing looking like an Audi key, which is actually a USB stick, 8GB USB stick, which can also be folded like your Audi key. And this can be something that you use in your office or somewhere, reminding you that once again you have an Audi car. So this is pretty good. I'm going to put that back over here. Then we have our 16GB memory card, which once again has Audi embossed on it, which is very good and quite nice, frankly speaking. And then we have our tire valve caps over here, which are custom made for your Audi. And once again they have these Audi's logos over here, which looks very nice. But do be careful. I don't recommend putting these on your tires. Maybe someone steals it and you don't want that. So this is actually just kind of a gesture from the Audi company for thanking you to buy their car. And so those were the features of the Audi A3. According to me, the features it is providing for this price point, that is an entry-level Audi, I think they are amazing and it's good value for money. And so if I had to rate this car out of 5, I was going to give this car a 4, but then I decided to give it a 4.5. And the reason for that was just that reflector jacket. That was such an amazing feature. I am literally blown away by how much Audi actually thinks of its customers. And so with that said, now let's move on to the practicality of this car. I like to start with the practicality with the glove box of this car. So once you open it, first of all, you have this owner's manual over here, which is in this great case. You also have 3 card holders over here. And you have this one place for keeping all your service records and all of that stuff. You also have the owner's manual in this car, and you have this great Audi emblem over here reminding which car you have. That is really good. Putting that aside, if you talk about the actual glove box, the glove box has this one pen holder. You also have card holders in this glove box. The great thing is that it's very well spacious. You have a lot of space to keep your things, and the best part is that it is ventilated and it is also lighted. Moving to the center console, under the AC controls in this car, you have a small storage cubby for keeping keys and coins and all of that stuff. Below that, you have two cup holders, which has one of this has an ashtray. You can use that if you smoke in your car. And the best thing is that even the cup holders in this car are lighted, which is really nice. And last but not the least, we also have this armrest over here, which is adjustable, height adjustable, and I can move it forward or back. And then opening it reveals us with a deep enough storage space. You can store a lot of stuff in there too, and you also have these two USB ports over here for connecting a USB to the display in this car, or charging your phone, which is nice. And obviously you do also have door pockets in this car, which are standard in each and every car. Now in the rear seats, once again, practicality wise, it's okay. We have two seat nets for the passenger and the driver side seat. Otherwise you also have this center armrest for the rear passengers, which contains two cup holders, and that's pretty much it for the rear seat passengers. Otherwise you also have door pockets for the rear doors as well. And now for one of the most important things for our practicality session, that has to do with the trunk. First, to open it, you have two ways: using the key fob or using the request sensor under the trunk. I'm going to open the trunk using the key fob, and as you can see, the trunk opens itself up using the spring actuators inside. But once you open the trunk, you can see that the trunk is pretty spacious, and the one thing that I like about it is that it is pretty well organized. You have a net in the base floor and a net on the left hand side as well. And so that was the practicality of the Audi A3. I think it's a practical car for normal everyday use, and it's a very good car in terms of practicality. If I had to give a rating out of 5, it would be 5 on 5, as it's a decently practical car. And so with that said, now let's move on to the comfort of the Audi A3. And now we're going to be talking about comfort, which is one of the most important things while buying a car. And so talking about comfort in the Audi A3, first of all, we'll talk about the seats. The seats are very soft, leather seats with cloth in between, which makes it a little bit more soft. And once you sit in these seats, you are gripped into your place, which is very nice. Going on a long road trip in this car, I don't think will be any problem for any kind of person. And for the driver's side seat over here, we have automatic seat controls for moving the seat back and forth, the backrest back and forth, which is very nice. And you even have automatic lumbar support for your backrest, which is very nice. And if we talk about the passenger side over here, these are semi-automatic seats. That is, the lumbar support in those seats are also automatic, but for moving the seat back and forth and the backrest back and forth, you have these manual controls. So you do have to do a little bit of manual effort if you are a passenger in your Audi A3. But one thing that I would like to mention, that even the passenger in this car has height adjustability, although manual, but you're still getting that feature, which is very nice, because many cars that we have reviewed till now which have manual controls don't give height adjustability as a feature for the passenger. It's only for the driver's seat over here. Alright, so moving in the rear seats of the Audi A3, I'll first tell you the position of the passenger side seat over here. I have set it according to me. Like if I was sitting in the passenger side seat, I would set it to that position. And I'm pretty tall, 6'1", and even if I come to the rear seats, you can see that I have a lot of legroom available to me with about 3 or 4 inches to spare, which is nice. And the headroom is also sufficient with about 3 inches to spare, which is okay. And the under thigh support, I think, is a little less. If it would have been a little bit more than it is, I think I would have loved it. But anyways, still in the rear seats of the Audi A3, even if you're a tall person or a short person, I don't think you will have any kind of problem going in a long road trip in this car for 5 or 6 hours straight. You will be very comfortable in your Audi A3. The comfort of the Audi A3 is fantastic, especially for the front seats. In the back seat, there was one problem for the under thigh support for a long person. So if I had to give this car a rating out of 5 for comfort, it would be a 4.5, which is not bad by any standards. And so that was a detailed review of the all new Audi A3. According to me, it's a great car, and you've listened to the numbers that we have given to it. Once again, if you liked our video, please give us a thumbs up, and if there is anything that you want us to improve on, you can tell us down in the comments below. Share this video as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe. Remember that it's always free. Thank you.